I call Jonathan Young.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to speak on the Securities, Trustees and Statutory Supervisors Bill, which, as we've heard tonight, is intended to protect investors' interests and enhance market confidence. At least 6 years ago, we were warned by in the International Monetary Fund and World Bank that there were some weaknesses in our system. As the previous speaker mentioned, the Ministry of Economic Development repeated those warnings and identified weaknesses such as a lack of capability or capacity. Statutory supervisor and unit trustee company resources and expertise has not always matched the size and complexity of the securities they supervise. Weak trust deeds. There are insufficient minimum protections for investors in some trust deeds. A lack of role clarity, a lack of clear definition of trustees and statutory supervisors and unit trustees' role has resulted in inconsistencies. And the list goes on, Mr. Speaker. Now, we understand that coming through a time of recession and still fighting our way back into strength in our economy, that we are short as a nation of investment in capital markets. A tremendous amount of investment in the past has gone into the property market, which, though it generates income for property owners, it doesn't build accumulating wealth that can go on to create jobs for the future. It doesn't build the real wealth that this nation needs. It is a debt-hungry sector that drives borrowing mostly from overseas. But one substantial disincentive for people to shift from a borrowing-based way of thinking to an investment-based way of thinking is a lack of confidence in a system that fails to ensure professional, effective, ethical and accountable oversight of that system. Earlier this year, on the 9th of February, the Prime Minister, in a statement to the nation, said that this year the government will be focusing on ways to promote investment in capital markets while also strengthening protection for investors. We want New Zealanders from all walks of life to be able to invest their savings in productive businesses, either directly or through funds, with more confidence in the regulation of those capital markets and with the knowledge they need to make informed choices. That is important if New Zealanders are to diversify away from their heavy reliance on property investment. Added to this, the Prime Minister also spoke of an opportunity for New Zealand. Quoting from the Capital Market Development Task Force report, he said that there is an opportunity for New Zealand to become a hub for financial services in the Asia-Pacific region, specialising in providing high-value middle and back-office functions for the funds management industry. The government is keen to see if this or similar new industries could be developed here, and we have asked officials to determine what steps we would need to take to make that a reality. Mr. Speaker, when we shore up our regulations and build a robust, credible, effective, ethical and accountable sector, then this sector not only will protect New Zealanders and give them confidence to invest in those capital markets, but this sector can export itself. We can take this one step further and look at the possibility of becoming such a financial service hub in the Asia-Pacific region. When it comes to investment, the highest valued commodity is trust. A robust licensing regime will promote trust. Trust is based on the integrity of a system from the top down and bottom up. We have heard tonight the word guardianship being mentioned. In order for New Zealanders to move from a borrowing-based thinking in property to investment-based thinking in business and investment into the infrastructure and the future of this country will require trust. And in order to have trust, it requires a strong system of guardianship. Mr. Speaker, this bill proposes that. And looking at the provisions of this bill, the first thing this bill does is create accountability through a licensing process. The bill requires corporate trustees and statutory supervisors and unit trustees to be licensed. It also allows the Securities Commission to oversee how trustees and statutory supervisors act in situations where investors' interests may be at risk. Greater accountability will ensure that corporate trustees and statutory supervisors act in the best interests of investors. Licensing will require trustees and statutory supervisors to be capable. It sounds so basic, doesn't it? It will require effectively. It will also enable the Securities Commission to hold them accountable for any failure to act according to the expected standards. The new licensing regime will help ensure trustees and statutory supervisors that they are competent. And this regime will fundamentally improve trustees' performance around this country. Mr. Speaker, this bill will lift the bar. Those who are already performing to a very high level of proficiency and standards, this will enhance their already professional manner. Those who are performing well below the bar will either lift their standard or will be weeded out. This is how investor confidence will grow, by having a very high standard of capability and a very high standard of accountability, where substantial penalties for those who contravene such standards await. The Securities Commission will administer the new regime, granting licence applications and receiving mandatory reports from licensed trustees and statutory supervisors. The Commission will have more powers to require information from trustees and to direct them to act in emergency situations. Mr. Speaker, the future is as bright as we want to make it. This government is focused on building an economy that is going to deliver real wealth to New Zealanders. Wealth that will improve our access to medical care, our access to high-quality, world-class education, and our access to social services that support every New Zealander. Mr. Speaker, I am very pleased to commend this bill to the House. Thank you.
I call Raymond Ho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.